Tonight, we're going to do a depression era recipe. And we're going to put together some fried chicken livers, some mushroom gravy, and some succotash. So let's get started. I'm adding olive oil to the skillet and probably just enough to cover the bottom of the skillet. Now, as we're cooking tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about Depression era recipes. So many people do not prepare um, Depression era recipes because, well, they're looked upon and frowned upon as foods you may not want to eat. But during the Depression, you ate everything. So when your mom cut up a chicken, she kept every piece and she fried every piece if she was going to have fried chicken. So as we think about this, we're going to sprinkle a little flour into the oil to see if it's hot enough, and you'll notice that it's floating, so it's not quite ready yet. But when it really starts to sizzle, you'll know it's ready. So I've got it nice and hot. I've placed those chicken livers into a flour mixture that I've seasoned. And you can see as I drop them in that our oil is bubbling and the livers are going to cook pretty quickly. Now this dinner is going to come together very quickly, and that's always a good thing at the end of the evening. Now, while we're cooking, let's also talk about the fact that chicken livers are valuable pieces of chicken because they helped to feed the family back during the Depression. Everybody got a piece of the chicken, and you may only have one chicken for a family of 10, depending upon the number of children that you had. Or if you had family members staying at your house, then you needed to make sure that you had a piece of chicken for every person in the family. During the Depression, many people were homeless and jobless, and in fact, that percentage went up to 25% across the United States. And so, because of that, family members gathered together and stayed in the same house. So you may have your mom and dad, your family, an aunt, an uncle and their family. You may have your mom's brother or your dad's brother and sister, some extra people staying within your household. So when it was time to cook, you needed to be able to stretch that meal as far as possible. And chicken livers was a good way to be able to do that because you wasted absolutely nothing. As we look at the people around us, it's always easy to find those people who either lived during the Depression era or they were children of people who lived during the Depression era. Now, my mom was born in 1910. She was 9 years old when the Depression started. And definitely, she was a child of the Depression. So there were some things that she taught me along the way that I'm going to share with you. You know, because of the fact that things were so tight, money was tight, she knew how to squeeze a dollar until it yelled. And she could save so easily. She learned not to throw things away until they absolutely could not be used another time. She also looked at things with a second eye and thinking, don't throw that away because I think I can fix that. When it came to dinner time, you did not go out because you can make it yourself at home. And it was cheaper to do that. Another thing that children of the Depression era learned, that you cleaned your plate because you really didn't know when the next meal was going to come. So you needed to make sure that you were full at that time. You know, the unfortunate thing is that back during the day of the Depression, many children, many adults came very close to starving to death. And some actually did. And you know, it makes you think. We must learn how to live more frugal lifestyles so that when the time comes, should the time comes, and heaven forbid that it would, but should that time come again, we will be prepared and know what to do. So learn to eat at everything that you can, at least take a couple of bites, because you may not know when the next meal is going to come. As I'm frying these chicken livers, I am thinking back to the day of when I was young, and Mom would fry chicken livers and they would smell so good. And you know, she always had gravy, and she served the chicken livers, and she had either had rice or had mashed potatoes, depending upon what particular starch that she had in the house. And so very often we may have a slice of bread, and sometimes we didn't. But you know, chicken livers, gravy, and rice was always a great combination, or even with mashed potatoes. But it was funny because we had friends that when they knew she was going to fry chicken livers, they were there. They always managed to show up so they could get at least one or two mouthfuls of the chicken livers and gravy and rice on their plates. And so, you know, it's fun to think, and it's fun to remember all of the things that you've done during your childhood. And it's also fun to remember those moments that you spent in your kitchen with those you love, and most of the time you were gathered around the kitchen table. So for me, and for this channel of Ebony Ivy Thyme, it is so important that we remember that the gathering around the kitchen and the kitchen table is so valuable. It's where memories are made. It's where we learn so much from the people who are around us. And it's just a time of sharing and caring and loving. We are about to finish up these chicken livers, and I think I have just a few more left to fry. And then we're going to start to work on that mushroom gravy. Now, if you have a can of cream of mushroom soup, honey, that is one of the items and one of the staple items you are going to want to have in your extended pantry always. You'll have cream of mushroom soup, cream of celery soup, cream of chicken soup, all of those cream of whatever soups it may be are staples that you can put a meal together very quickly for your family and help to stretch what you have. So we're going to take a can of cream of mushroom soup. Now, of course, you can make it yourself if you have time. I don't have time tonight, so I am using my can. But we're going to take an entire can of cream of mushroom soup, place it into the skillet, pour in the rest of the flour that was in the bag where I had seasoned the chicken livers, and we're going to put a delicious gravy together. Now first, I'm going to pour off some of the excess oil that is in our skillet and leave maybe about 3 tablespoons of the seasoned oil that's in the bottom of the pan. And once I do that, I will add the mushroom soup. After adding the flour to the cream of mushroom soup, I'm going to stir, and I'm going to let this mushroom and flour mixture brown. I want it not a dark golden brown, but just a kind of a light golden brown so that it's a nice, pretty creamy color. And we're going to let that cook. And then we're going to add the liquid. And the liquid that we add, we want ice cold. I remembered that I had chopped onions, and I thought, what a great time to add those chopped onions to this mixture, because the onions are just going to lift that gravy to another level. So let's get those onions in there and let them also fry and get nice and seasoned with the rest of the mixture. You're about to hear a sound that's very familiar, and that's the sound of falling ice. Yes, we're going to be adding ice cubes and ice water into this gravy mixture. And our gravy is going to come out perfectly smooth. Now remember, stirring is required, but we're going to have a beautiful gravy. And then we're going to put the chicken livers into the gravy. It has been a blessing to be in the kitchen with you here at Ebony Ivy and Thyme. You are always welcome to this table. And you know, as we sit around this table and we bow our heads and thank God for the fact that we do have food, that we are able to prepare and to eat together with our family, let's always keep in mind that there are people somewhere who may not be as fortunate. And so if that's the case, let's ask God to be able to provide for them. Or perhaps we might be able to bring someone else to our table. So have a blessed and wonderful evening with your family. And I'll see you soon right here at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme with Leona Dooley.